Everyone online says you need to scale with a course. And I say, sell the damn service. I'm Emily Williams, award-winning consultant and Productize offer expert since 2014. And I'm here to help you work less, make more, and stop custom building your burnout. Each week, we talk strategy, structure, and the real stories behind sustainable service businesses. You know, from service providers who like doing service work, who want to stay in service work, but also just make more money. If you're ready for all that yapping, then let's dive in. Hello. Okay, today's episode is going to be slightly different than normal. I'm going to be doing a rapid fire Q&A session all by myself, but I am taking the 7 most common questions that I get about sold out services. I'm going to let you know what the question is, and I'm going to answer them. And so maybe you've asked this question yourself. Maybe you've submitted it before. Maybe you've emailed me this question. And so finally, here's the spot for common FAQs answered about sold out services. So a couple of things that you need to know right out the gate. This episode is going out on March 17th. Enrollment for the current launch bonus of sold out services ends March 19th at 9 p.m. Central. Sold out services is always open. You can get inside whenever you want. Sporadically throughout the year, I will have specific launch windows where I partner with another collaborator or I offer something extra that's just a bonus, right? For you to come on in and join us and hang out with us. And sometimes, maybe the cool bonus is incentive for you to think, okay, that's really cool. And I'm going to join at this specific cohort. All right. So sold out services is open all the time. Specifically, the bonus for this launch ends and goes away March 19th at 9 p.m. All right. That bonus I talk about on the sales page. I'm also happy to answer any specific questions about it. You should also refer to the episode that went out yesterday. Yes, there was a Monday episode, and it's where Chelsea Quint of The Business Whisperer and I dig into the bonus. She is the collaborator and the other business owner that I'm partnering with to deliver that bonus for you all. And it's very, very good. And I'm very excited about it. So if you want to hear more about that, make sure you listen to the episode before this one. Okay. All that being said, let's dig into some of the FAQs I get around what is sold out services? Is it right for me? And custom, particular situations, right? So the very first thing we want to dive into is, what if I don't have enough data to productize my service? Meaning, I don't know what should be templatized. I don't know what the scope should be. I don't know what is the result that I historically get my clients. There's 2 ways I'm going to answer that question. 1, you might be right. There might quite literally be not enough data. You have not worked with enough clients in your specific industry or niche for long enough to have that data to feel confident in saying, this is the result I provide because I can see that I've provided that result with real life people. That might be true. And if that's the case, you need to just go work with more clients. And I'm going to dig into that answer in just a second. But the other case could be, you have enough data, you're just not looking at it from the right lens and you're not asking the data the right questions. Okay. So if you've worked with clients, even if it's been in a slightly adjacent container or industry, if you have history showing up as your expert self, chances are, even if you worked with clients in a different container or from a different positioning than maybe what you're wanting to work toward, you have solved the problem that you could still roll into this new refined container inside sold out services, right? Because in sold out services, we take your historical data of the results that you've gotten your clients, what you've charged those clients, what problems those people came to you for, what result they said they wanted, ultimately what you pitched them and what you put in front of them by being the thing that was going to solve their problem, and then the result that you actually helped achieve and that you got for them, right? So we take a look at all of that when we do an offer audit And this is the first milestone that we do together inside of Sold Out Services so that we can understand, okay, in the different ways that you've delivered, maybe you've done a VIP day before, maybe you've done a 3-month project, a 6-month retainer, a week-long sprint, right? And you've done these various containers. What are the themes that we can see across how you've shown up and worked with your clients in those various containers? And what are the results that they've gotten consistently across the board? Even if you don't think that they're related, what are they? So that we can kind of start spotting those patterns and those trends, right? So it could be you have enough data, you just think it's not enough, but you're not asking the right questions of that data. The other piece is you might not actually have enough data. And this tends to be my people who are either brand new to service work and you're like just starting your business and you quite literally just have not worked with enough clients, or you're pivoting so drastically from either corporate work or a different industry, and you have this concept of a container, but you haven't sold it enough, you haven't put it out there enough to get that data, right? And for that, what I'm going to say is I want you to go sell some packages and I want you to go get that data. The top advice I would give you is I want you to get as much data as quickly as possible. And so find the container that's the easiest to sell, that has the clearest outcome, that is a reasonable price point for the people that you're working with so that they can start to trust you and deliver. Typically, this is an audit, an assessment, a playbook, a blueprint, right? Whatever you want to call it, but you are digging into something about the industry that you want to be, the niche, the category that you want to be helping them with, right? So maybe you're doing a client experience audit, a systems audit, a brand audit, a copy, positioning, sales audit, right? It doesn't matter. What is the audit that you can do so you can really see behind the scenes in the businesses that you want to work with and understand, okay, here's the hypothesis that I think is going to be true about this situation, about this subset of people. Let me do 5 audits, 10 audits, and see if that hypothesis is true. And when you do those audits, I promise you, you will have an amazing amount of data that you can then say, okay, great. Here's what I thought I would learn. Here's what I actually learned. Here's what these business owners are actually bringing to the table. Here's what they think they need to do to solve the problem. Here's what they actually need to do. And I know I could help them in this type of structure, right? That gives you so much clarity. And from there, we can then productize that container. All right. So if you don't have enough data, filter yourself to see, is it actually true? What side of the data fence are you sitting on? All right. The other thing that I get asked often or is said to me is, but Emily, my offer is way too custom. It's way too bespoke for productization. And I don't want to change the custom feel of my container. And for that, I say, I love that. We can still productize other elements. And in fact, what we do inside of Sold Out Services is it allows you to actually offer a more custom experience, a higher end premium experience, what I call white glove client experience, right? Because we are being consistent in our communication. We are being consistent in how we move a lead to a prospect, to a client, to offboarding, right? We are consistently communicating, checking in, showing up, getting notes, asking for revisions, getting forms, getting feedback, whatever needs to happen in between all of the checkpoints. We are doing that in a way that is templatized, automated, and structured so that you can be supported in delivering your zone of genius better, deeper, and more often. I support you being in the custom seat where it matters. All right. So I will push back on if you're wanting to hold on to certain email reminders or, hey, it's time to schedule your kickoff or your proposal's ready or here's what your proposal looks like. It is those elements that we're going to want to streamline if scaling your service business is a priority of yours. If it isn't, that's fine, right? Totally fine. But if it is, then we do need to look at the opportunities where we can actually streamline. And I want you to have a standard delivery, a standard framework, a standard method, right, of getting to the end result. Now, that end result could be custom and unique for every single client, depending on their baseline, where they started, where they wanted to head, and where they ultimately landed. That specific result could be unique for each of your individual clients, but the way that they got there was the same. Okay? So we could talk about what are the elements that matter for you to stay and provide your zone of genius, and what are the elements that we can actually automate, templatize, productize, eliminate, delegate, or outsource, right? Okay. Let's move on to my next question. This is a thing and a phrase, and I almost made an entire episode about this, but I felt like I was getting a little too ranty, so I'm just going to try to be concise in answering the question here. But this is a statement I hear often from service providers, and it's when they have a bloated offer suite or a Franken offer suite, meaning you've got lots of different offers that promise different results. And this offer, you get a little bit of that offer, but that offer is priced at this because it doesn't include this because of one time this one person didn't need that thing. So I created a custom solution for them, right? This is where we have custom solutions that aren't actually required to be custom. It's just custom for custom's sake. And so we have all of these offers, and I come in and we do our offer audit, and I say, okay, let's streamline this one, let's cut this one, let's go all in on this one. And here's what that's ultimately going to look like when it comes to pricing, scope, deliverables, and client experience, right? And then you say, well, I struggle with doing that because I just want to be able to meet people where they're at. Have you ever said this? Have you ever said, I just want to meet my prospects where they're at? And that kind of comes to fruition. It comes to life in a couple of different ways. Meet people where they're at in the sense of, I want to make sure that my pricing is accessible to everyone who ever might want to work with me, which means we have a low ticket offer, a mid ticket, a high ticket, and somewhere in between, which means there's ways to get part of a result from you, but never the whole solution because you wanted to meet me where I was at. And so you carved out a piece from the big pie and you gave me just a crumb, and I still left dissatisfied because I wanted the pie, but I got the crumb because I could only afford the crumb, and you made the crumb possible, but I still didn't get my result. That's a whole, again, that is an entire conversation, right? There's the other side of this of meeting people where they're at in the sense of maybe we're not adjusting the price, right? Because typically meeting people where they're at is lowering the investment into working with you, removing some items from the scope and saying, okay, what about this? Because we just want someone to say yes, and we just want that converted client. And then we're surprised when that client doesn't get the result that they wanted because we didn't give them the whole pie. We didn't give them all of the pieces that are required in order to get that solution, right? But the other side of this is meeting people where they're at when we are customizing the container too much. So we're on a discovery call, we're on a sales call, and the prospect is saying, I need this. And the way that I'm going to get this result is with this solution. And they're coming to the table with a solution in mind. And so they're saying, you know, you're a website designer, right? And they say, I want to convert more clients from my website. So therefore, I need 17 landing pages, each of them designed for each client persona that has custom call to actions and custom copy and custom all the things, right? And you're sitting here like, that's absolutely not what they need. What they need is a 6-page website that's wireframes beautifully, that's connected and clear and drives toward one CTA. And you know, because you're the expert, right? But you are letting them guide the conversation and you're letting them guide the solution, even though you know you could get them the result that they want a lot simpler, a lot easier. But you want to say yes because you want them to convert. So you say, okay, well, instead of my standard 6-page client website, I'll do a 17-page website. And here's what that looks like. And maybe it even is, more money because it's more pages or whatever. Insert your own scenario here. But then you're halfway through the project and you're resenting every single page that you're having to make for that client because you know it's not going to matter and it's not needed. It's not required to get their result. But you met them where they were at. And where they were at was telling you what the solution needs to be. And I want you in the expert seat. You're the authority. You know what's required to get that result. In Sold Out Services, I'm going to equip you in better communicating that and positioning your container as, if this is the result you want, this is what you need, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And here's what it looks like, and here's why it's important, and here's what it matters to you, right? So we do that together inside of SOS. Okay, the next question I want to cover. I don't want a team. I want to work with more clients. I want to make more revenue. I want an increased capacity, but I don't want a team. Great. You don't have to have one. And if you don't have a team now, your first lever of increasing your revenue and increasing your capacity and working with more clients is not bringing on a team. Okay? Period. If you have not yet productized your service, your signature service, defined what the actual result is, repositioned it to highlight the result and your authority, repositioned the scope, the deliverables, the price, the container, the timeline, the client experience, all of it to get that result in the most efficient way possible. If you have not done that yet, you do not need a team. And I'm going to tell you, you're not even ready for a team if you haven't laid those pieces down first. The absolute best lever you can pull as your first step to increase your revenue, increase your capacity, increase the amount of clients you can serve is productizing your container and setting up the systems to support you. That might mean you pay for Airtable or Zapier or fill out a tech tool, a system, right? But paying $24.99 a month or even $100 a month is a whole hell of a lot cheaper than bringing on a human. And I don't want you to bring on a human until you've set up this system of delivery first. Not only can that buy you truly a year or more, right? And save you a heck ton of money, but it's going to give you more clarity about what is actually required and needed to produce the result. And it will give you such a glaring red light as to, okay, when you've productized and you've set up the systems to support and you bring on the additional clients, you're going to reach a new threshold. I talk about ceiling season often. You're going to hit ceiling season more than once. That's how growth works. If your business is growing, you're going to hit a ceiling. You then remedy that, and then your business will grow, and then you will hit another ceiling. And you get to choose at every single ceiling, you get to choose, do I want to stay here or do I want to grow? It is not required for you to grow. It is not required for you to make the decision right away. You can sit at that ceiling for a year or more. You could sit there for a month. It doesn't matter. It depends on how you want to run your business and what your goals are. But if your goals at that point are telling you, I want to make more revenue, that is the time where I might talk to you about outsourcing, white labeling, delegating some of the pieces of your service. Again, if that is the solution that we drive toward and go down, the first thing that we're going to delegate, do you know what it's not? Your strategy and your selling and your serving of your clients. There are other ways, I promise you, because I did it myself and I'm doing it for other clients, where we can plug pieces, humans, for support in ways that still can enable you to serve more clients. Okay? Alongside the systems of productization that do not mean hiring for client-facing work. Again, if you bring on, let's say a part-time VA, and they start doing some stuff behind the scenes that enable you to sit more in client seat. Because this is where I'm at right now, right? Well, I take it back. That's where I was 6 months ago. And I'm at yet another ceiling, right? I was at a point where I said, okay, well, I can serve all of my clients and all of that's working great, but I can't also grow my business at the same time. So I'm going to bring on a VA to help me repurpose my content and make sure I'm staying visible here, and here where it matters. So my visibility can continue growing while I'm serving clients. Okay. That's been a foundation for the last 6 months. So my visibility has increased. The awareness about what I do and who I am and who I'm for has increased. Therefore, the amount of clients that I'm working with has increased. And this week, because of sold out services and this launch, I'm going to be at a new ceiling. And this time I was lucky and I was proactive. And I looked at it and I said, I bet you at the end of that launch, I'm at a different ceiling and I need to make a decision about that. And I either need to limit spots to sold out services, or I need to bring on a human that can help me serve these clients better. And that's ultimately what I decided to do. Again, these humans are not serving clients themselves. What they're doing, I'll give you an example. So I'm onboarding. My goal for this launch, and I'll be interested because I'm recording this 2 days before cart opens, so I don't actually know, but my goal is 17 new clients. All right. I'm already serving 15 inside SOS and 6 on my consultancy side. All right. So add 17 to that, and that's a whole lot of clients. What works best for me, and I serve clients better when I have a full in-depth profile on those clients. So I'm asking the right questions on the onboarding form, and I'm getting it to them early, and they're filling it out. They're getting reminders to fill out the form, all of that, right? All of that was part of productization, right? The systems of it all. Well, now what I'm doing is I'm having a VA come in, and every time someone fills out their onboarding form and they enroll, they're building a client profile for every single client, and they're putting it in a Google Doc because Airtable data, right, is from left to right horizontally. My brain processes data visually top to bottom, more so in a beautiful Google Doc template. So we're going to make the template. We're going to input the client profile and provide more in-depth insights. They're going to look at their business and link their URL. They're going to look at their onboarding form and put their answer and notes alongside it, right? They're going to look at opportunities. All of that is just for my information. So then I get these beautiful client profiles delivered where I get to sit down, maybe even print them off. Could you imagine? And I get to read top to bottom and understand the deep, deep insights about each individual client, because that's going to enable me when I go to review their work to tie them back to their client profile. When they show up to office hours and they ask a question, I know who they are and what they're selling and what's going on, and I can pull their client profile up really easily, right? So they're not client facing, but they're client support for me. So that's just one example of what that additional layer of support could look like. But because of that, I feel very confident and not overwhelmed at all about the idea of onboarding 17 or more new people. Great. Okay. So you don't want a team, that's okay. There are other things that we can set up in place before we bring on a team. And I don't want you to be scared of a team. There are ways that we don't have to bring in client facing at first and you still get supported. Okay. That's the long and short of that. All right. The next thing is, and it kind of goes hand in hand with this one, so I'll go ahead and answer it next. The concern is that I can't automate my genius. I don't want to automate or templatize my strategy, my creative brain, my strategic brain, the deep work that I do with my clients. I don't want to put a formula to my design work or my branding or my writing or my SEO strategy or whatever it might be. And I say, okay, fine. But guess what? Your genius still follows a framework. You just don't have it written down. You don't have it formatted. And even if that framework doesn't ever get applied by anyone else other than you understanding the phases and the process and the order of operations is so critical to us deciding, all right, when we figured this out, I actually realized I go through a client in this type of project to get to this result, and we go through 7 phases, right? We outlined your framework. Then we get to pick apart each of those phases and say, okay, great. What of in phase 1 could we automate? What could we delegate? What could we streamline? What could we systematize? What could we outsource, right? And we do that for every single phase. This is part of scope and delivery inside of sold out services. Every single phase gets broken down. What is your framework? What is your methodology? And what of that could be automated? Because while your genius is, say you have 7 phases in your method, right? Your genius is all 7 of those phases. But is there phase 2.5 that could be automated? Even if it's internal. I love an internal automation. A checkpoint, a status change, a reminder for you to do X, right? And for you being supported in the journey of going through all of those phases of your unique framework to deliver that end result. So we talk about that inside of sold out services. All right. The next thing I want to talk about, we've got 2 more. I've productized before and it failed. So for this, I've seen, and I saw this specifically in The Ordinary Business. They posted their yearly State of the Online Business survey. And one of the comments in that was, what are you shifting to? What are you doing more or less of next year in your business, or this year in 2026 in your business? And a lot of people said they're shifting away from bespoke custom services into more group programs or DIY containers. Some of them have said they're interested in productizing their service. Yay, hello, welcome, you're in the right place. And a subset of those people said, well, I'm interested in productizing my service, but it should be noted that I've productized my signature service before and it was our least performing service. So we're going back to bespoke one-on-one delivery. And for that, I would be super curious. If that was you, if you answered that on that survey, reach out to me because I want to talk to you about what it is you actually did, what were the results, and what could we have done differently. I kind of want to do an audit of your productization. So we should chat. But basically, I say, you probably just didn't do it right. And I know that's like a blanket statement, and you're like, okay, well, no shit, Sherlock. But honestly, you probably just didn't do it right. What I see most often when people say, well, I productized it before and it didn't work, they productize it by completely removing themselves out of strategy and sales. It's immediately going to not work. It's immediately going to not perform as well. And they tried to templatize too much. They lowered the price. The result wasn't clear. And they tried to make it group or DIY. And if that was your solution for productization, no fucking wonder it didn't work because that's a shitty solution. It's okay. We've all been there. I'm not judging you. We're just not going to compare a half-assed attempt at something to a full-assed attempt at something. We're not going to do that, right? So if you've thought that you've productized before, let me know specifically what you did and what the results were, because I guarantee you just didn't do it right. And that's okay. That is literally what sold out services is for, to teach you the right way to do it. Okay, last question. And this one I've touched on a lot, but it's worth bringing up here again because I know there are going to be some of you, there probably already have by the time that you're listening to this. I know there are going to be some of you sliding into my DMs, using the video ask on the sales page to ask me a question, and it's going to be something around this. But I think I just need more leads. In order to increase my revenue, I just need more leads. And at the root of the math, you might, I can understand how you think that might be your problem. And that might be the solution. But hear me when I say this. Let me tie it back to a point I made earlier. Actually, point 3, where I said meet people where they're at. Do you remember when I said that you have set on a sales call with a prospect before and they say, I want this solution and here's what I know we need to do to get to that solution. Can you do that thing for me? And you bend over backwards and you pretzel yourself into saying, yes, 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 yes. I can do whatever you want in order to get that solution, even though you know that that's not what's needed. This is me saying, I'm not going to meet you where you're at when it comes to leads. I'm not. Because 99% chance, lack of leads is not your problem. Period. What I'm going to be really open and honest with you, because I want to make this very, very fucking clear. Sold Out Services is not a lead generation program. If you think leads are your problem, and if you just had more leads, it would be your solution, Sold Out Services is not for you. Do not enroll. Don't do it. I don't want to work with you if that's your mentality. Because that mentality is wrong. But convincing you something different once you're already inside is a pain in my ass, and I'm not going to do it. Can you tell that I've had to do this before? This is a clear boundary for me. If you're coming to the table and you say, I just need more leads, again, if you are a brand new business baby and you haven't worked with enough people and you don't have enough data, that's probably true. Okay? But it's still not true. You don't need more leads. You just need to go fucking talk to more people and do what I call boots on the ground marketing, meaning quit posting on Threads, quit posting on LinkedIn, quit posting on Instagram, and go fucking email some people, go call some people, go directly ask people that you already know to hire you or introduce you to someone who will hire you. If you have not listened to my private podcast, soldoutservices.com/roadmap, it's called 6 months to 6 figures, and it's exactly my journey of replacing my 6-figure salary with consulting work by boots on the ground marketing, lead generation strategies. Do exactly what I say in that series and nothing else. And until you do that, then we can talk about leads. Okay? But if you think that as someone who hasn't worked with enough people or landed their first client at all, that you're going to post on Instagram and land your first client and then your next client, your next client, your next client, I don't know what world we're living in, okay? Because it's not the same one. So I'm going to assume that's not you because you are all very smart and very advanced and a lot further along, all right? And yet there are still business owners who have experience, who have worked with clients, who are in a little bit of a dry spell. I'm not going to say that you're not. And you come to me and you say, but I just need more leads. And I'm going to say, okay, great. How many people have actually been aware of the thing that you sell in the last 90 days? How many people could tell you what result you are going to help them provide? How many people know exactly if they're the right fit for your thing or not? How many people have referred you in the last 90 days? And you're going to say, I know exactly what you're going to say. You're going to say, but my referrals are down. I used to get really good referrals and then they're down. And my current clients aren't referring me, and there's past clients I just don't want to work with. Do you know what's happening? I can tell you what's happening. You're not providing the result that anyone gives a shit about. That's what's happening. Your people who've worked with you don't know how to refer you because they don't know what you fucking do anymore, because you have morphed yourself into being the everything for everybody pretzel that no one knows what your authority is and what you're good at and what to say, oh my God, you need to hire her for what? For what? Because you've so far lost the plot about what it is that you're actually good at, what problems people actually come to you for, and what you can solve. Okay, so that's why referrals have dried up. They don't know what to refer you to, okay? Current clients don't know how to refer you because they don't actually know what they're getting from you. They like working with you. There's something there. That's why they're continuing to do it. But if like push comes to shove, they probably could not fill out a form that says, here's what we achieved. If this is you, if this is your situation, right? So because of that, what we actually need to get clear on is what your authority is. What results have you historically gotten? Level 10 clients, not all of your clients, level 10 clients. It's a whole curriculum inside of SOS. It's a whole pillar, right? What results have you gotten level 10 clients? What is the container that needs to be created in order for you to get that result for more level 10 clients? How can we get there quickly? Data, audits, assessments, playbooks, etc., so that we now have a pool of new people that we've gotten incredible insights for that we can pitch into this container. We can surprise and delight and over-deliver. When I say over-deliver, I mean overly provide amazing results in a way that's structured, supported, productized, streamlined, right? So that people know exactly what result they're going to get in working with you. So that when they talk about you, they know how to introduce you and hype you up. So that when you go to make content, you can talk about the results that you get. And hey, if this is the result you want, here's how I help you, right? But instead, what we're doing is we're posting up on Threads and we're saying, hey, I'm booking out for Q2. Do you want this spot? You should grab it. For what? Why? Who are you talking to? Who are you literally talking to? So if we don't have that level of clarity, I could give you 100 leads tomorrow and it's not going to matter, right? You could have a whole bunch of people land in your inbox somehow, because I don't know what they're reaching out to you for, and it's not going to matter because we're not clear on your authority and the result and the structure behind it all. So SOS is not going to help you get more leads. Does it? Yes. Is it a lead generation mechanism? No. What gets you more leads is positioning yourself as the authority in your space, providing your level 10 clients the result they care about and that you can provide. When those two things overlap, authority is unlocked. Then when we have a container that is designed to produce that result and measure it, the baseline, the progress, the end result, so that you have data to talk about, right? That is when that then is able to be amplified. And it's when you can then not just rely on referrals for leads, because referrals will spike, but so will warm connections from your website, from social media presence, if you choose to have it. Okay? Can you tell this is a trigger point for me? Don't come at me with, I just need more leads. Especially if you're not if you haven't converted any in the last 90 days, you don't need more leads. You don't know what you're doing, what you're offering, what result you're providing. And people don't know who it's for. That's positioning. And that's positioning from looking at the data, the patterns, and the trends of what you've done up until this point. And that is what we do in sold out services. Okay. So these were common questions about sold out services. Lovingly yelled at you so that if they were also a question for you, you now have it answered. Again, doors are open, soldoutservices.com/enroll. If you want to snag the bonus that I talked about in the episode from yesterday with Chelsea, it's all about creating a strategic visibility 90-day content plan so that when you are able to increase your capacity and now you can work with more clients, now we're going to work on your visibility so that those people actually can see what you're doing, the result that you offer, and hey, I'm for you and I'm going to reach out and take the next step in order to actually work with you. All of that's included in this round of sold out services. And I'm so excited for you to learn more about it and get inside and to ultimately to work with you. If you head to soldoutservices.com/enroll, obviously that's the sales page and you can enroll directly from there. If you scroll down a little bit, there's a section where there's like a little video of me and it's a video ask section. And you can ask a question. You can either type it, you can voice record it, or you can record a video and ask me a question and I will respond in the same manner. It's a really cool asynchronous way for us to chat about the program. And if it's right for you, you can, of course, book a call with me from that same form. If you want to just snag 15 minutes on my calendar, we can chat there as well. So I hope to see you inside. I cannot wait to work with you and fucking ramp up your capacity this year so that you can impact more people and serve more level 10 clients and increase your revenue and scale your service business because it's designed right. I'll see you inside. Hey, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Sell the Damn Service. I'm really honored that you spent however many minutes you just did with me. Now, if you could go do me a very quick favor and be sure to like, subscribe, leave a rating and a review for this podcast over on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, or, pick your favorite platform. I'm not going to be that choosy. It truly means the world to me. It's how little tiny shows that are like mine, that are self-funded and, being edited in between dinner time and school pickup, it helps us get seen. It's free for you to do and takes just a couple of minutes. And I would love you forever if I could send you an edible arrangement as a big thank you. I would. So instead, consider this giant thank you directed just at you for going to do that. And share this episode or this podcast with a friend who needs to hear it. I love ranting and raving about service-based business strategies. And, I think more people should listen to this show, honestly. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I really am grateful that you're here, and we will chat very soon.